I moved to a quiet suburban neighborhood a few weeks ago. I thought it would be peaceful. I really needed a break from the chaos of the city and figured a cozy beige bungalow at the end of a cul-de-sac would do the trick. I wanted to feel calm, but things changed quickly. On my third night in the house, I woke up suddenly. It was dark. I thought I heard muffled voices coming from the wall next to me. I strained to listen, but I couldn't make out any words. Maybe it was a late-night party? I tried to brush it off and went back to sleep. The next few nights were the same. The whispers returned, echoing at odd hours. They felt familiar somehow. I spotted the elderly man next door peeking out his window. He just stood there, staring blankly at nothing. I felt a chill run down my spine every time I saw him. I tried to focus on my work, but the whispers followed me everywhere. One evening, I heard laughter, children's laughter. I froze. There were no kids around. It felt totally out of place. My mind raced. Maybe I was just imagining things? I wanted to believe it was just a part of my adjustment, but then I saw him again, the old man. He stood by the window, this time looking directly at me. I decided to take a walk, hoping to shake off the uneasy feelings. My heart raced as I passed his house. I thought he might say hello, but he didn't. It felt like something was keeping me from him. That night, the whispers returned, clearer this time. I pressed my ear to the wall, trying to understand. There were more voices, and they sounded urgent. I felt a tightening in my chest. I wanted to leave my house, but I didn't. Maybe I was just being foolish. Then I heard the children again. Their laughter echoed through my living room. It felt like they were right next to me. I stood frozen, confused. Why hadn't I seen any kids? I glanced back towards the old man's window, but he wasn't there. Suddenly, I heard a loud bang from next door. That did it. I had to confront this. I walked toward his door. My heart pounded. I knocked, and my knuckles barely touched the wood when I heard something shift inside. I strained to listen, but all I could hear was thick silence. My hair stood on end as I waited. Minutes felt like hours. I felt something was wrong, but I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, I stepped back, heart racing. There was something about those whispers and that old man's empty stare that I couldn't shake off. I turned to leave, glancing over my shoulder one last time. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw shadows moving behind the curtains of the old man's house. They felt like eyes watching me, but when I looked, there was only darkness. My heart pounded loudly in my chest as I walked away. I couldn't explain why, but I knew this place was not what it seemed. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I needed to clear my head. I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood, hoping to find some normalcy. Maybe I'd need a friendly face or two. I stepped outside and took a deep breath, trying to feel at ease, but the whispers still echoed faintly in my mind. As I walked, I noticed a woman pruning her roses in her front yard. Her movements were careful and deliberate. I hesitated for a moment, thinking this might be my chance to talk to someone. I approached her, mustering the courage to say hello. "Beautiful flowers," I said, hoping to engage her. "Thank you," she replied without looking up. There was something off about her tone, almost robotic. "You're new here. I saw you moving in. I'm trying to settle in. Must be nice in this quiet neighborhood." "It used to be," she said, finally glancing my way. Her expression felt oddly distant. "Things have changed." My heart sank. I wanted to press her for more, but I couldn't find the words. The conversation felt heavy, as if something unspoken loomed over us. I offered a brief smile and walked away, feeling the weight of her stare on my back. Next, I crossed paths with a couple walking a dog. They smiled and waved, and I returned the gesture. Maybe this was better. I followed them for a bit, listening to their laughter. They seemed so at ease, but I noticed their eyes flicking back to my house frequently. That's when I spotted the old man again through the gap in my fence. He was watching me, just like before. His gaze felt like an icy grip around my spine. I brought my hand up to shield my eyes from the sunlight, hoping to look less vulnerable. I noticed the couple whispering between themselves and stealing glances at the old man. I felt exposed. The sense that they knew something I didn't sent chills rippling through me. I quickened my pace, embarrassed by my mounting paranoia. After what felt like hours of wandering the neighborhood, I returned home. I knew I wouldn't be able to think straight without investigating. I grabbed a flashlight from a drawer and headed for the basement. The whispers in my mind urged me on. I wanted answers. The basement door creaked loudly as I opened it. Shadows danced on the walls, and my heart raced. I shone the flashlight into the small, cluttered space. Old boxes and furniture lay piled in the corners, their dust settling over everything like a thick blanket. I searched through the items, until I noticed a small trunk nestled against the wall. The IT was locked, but it didn't look old. I ran my fingers over its smooth surface. I felt drawn to it. I wasn't sure why, but I knew I had to open it. I fumbled through the nearby boxes, searching for something to break the lock. Just as I found a crowbar, a loud thud echoed from upstairs. I froze. Someone was in the house. My insides twisted with fear. I couldn't tell if it was just my imagination. The whispers grew louder, more frantic. They warned me to stay. I glanced at the trunk one last time before I made my way upstairs, trembling. It felt like every shadow in the dim light was alive, watching. I needed to know what was happening in this place. But for now, I had to figure out who was in my house. I crept up the basement stairs, my heart thudding in my chest like a wild animal desperate to escape. Each step felt like a leap into an unknown that I wasn't ready for. I paused at the top, straining my ears for any sound, but the house was silent, too silent. With a deep breath, I pushed open the door to the living room. The sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating everything in warm hues, but it did nothing to chase away the chill creeping up my spine. I scanned the room, looking for signs of disturbance, for any hint that someone had been here. Then, I noticed the front door was ajar. Panic surged through me. I hadn't left it open. I rushed over and peered outside, but the porch was empty. The world beyond felt eerie and still. I needed to know what was happening. I glanced back at the living room. Maybe I could go back down and wait it out, but the whispers from the basement echoed in my mind. They were calling me, urging me to find answers. I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts, but the silence threatened to smother me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket, making me jump. It was a message from an unknown number. My hands trembled as I opened it, but the words were jagged and unnerving. "You should have stayed away." My heart dropped, and I looked around again, feeling more vulnerable than ever. I thought about the old man watching me, the couple who seemed uncomfortable. What if they knew something about me? Or about this place? I backed away from the door, deciding it was best to retreat, but then I heard a faint rustling noise coming from the corner of the living room. My breath caught in my throat. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. No response. I took a cautious step forward, trying to peek around the corner. That's when I saw it, my neighbor from across the street, the woman with the roses, standing right by my window. Her gaze was fixed on the street as if she was waiting for someone. Her hands were gripping the windowsill tightly, and she looked more anxious than distant now. "Hey! What are you doing?" I shouted, my fear turning to anger. She turned to me slowly, her expression shifting from nervousness to something else, something sharper. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice low and urgent. "They're watching you." Before I could respond, she rushed out of the house, disappearing down the steps and into the street. I stood frozen, my heart racing as her warning replayed in my mind. Then, I heard the front door slam shut as if someone had pushed it hard behind her. I spun around, instincts screaming at me to leave, to get out. But as I turned to flee, a shadow moved across the hallway. No, two shadows. I felt a dread coil around me as I gripped the doorframe, knowing I was no longer alone. This was no longer just a fear. It was reality. I was being hunted. I didn't have time to think. My feet moved on instinct, propelling me into the kitchen. I dove behind the counter, pressing myself against the cool linoleum, hoping the shadows would pass by. The rustling grew louder, the footsteps echoing in the silence. I squinted through the gap, my heart pounding in my ears. I could see the outlines of two figures, their movements jerky and deliberate. They were searching for something or someone. As they entered the living room, I held my breath. I strained to hear their conversation, but it was low and indistinct. Panic gripped me with icy fingers. I needed a plan. I glanced around the kitchen, my eyes landing on the back door. If I was quick enough, I might escape. Just as I began to crawl toward the exit, a loud crash erupted from the living room. My heart jolted. The figures cursed, their voices raspy and filled with malice. They were getting closer. Every instinct screamed at me to stay quiet. I pressed my back harder against the wall, praying they wouldn't notice me. But then, just as suddenly as the chaos began, it fell silent. I peeked out from my hiding spot, barely daring to breathe. The shadows were huddled near the front door, whispering urgently. I couldn't make out their faces, but a wave of dread washed over me. Did they realize I was gone? I took a risk, slipping out of my hiding place and inching toward the back door. I could see the door's handle, metallic and cold, feeling like my only chance. At that moment, I heard a voice call out, hesitant yet sharp. "Did you hear that? She's here somewhere." My heart stopped. I turned to bolt, but the back door swung open. I froze as a figure stepped inside the woman from across the street. "What are you doing?" she hissed, panic in her eyes. "They're looking for me," I whispered frantically. "What do I do?" She glanced back toward the living room, her expression turning grave. "You need to trust me. Follow me, I'll help you." Her urgency cut through the fear clouding my mind, and for a moment, I hesitated. "Who are they?" I pressed urgently, but she shook her head dismissively. "Get out. Now." She tugged on my arm, pulling me toward the hallway leading to the basement. "They can't know you're here." I quickly followed, moving through the dimness. The whispers resumed, louder this time. They felt alive, pulsating with energy, as if they were urging me to seek the truth. Why was everyone warning me? We reached the basement door, and my stomach twisted. "What's down there?" "There's a way out," she said, glancing over her shoulder. "But we have to hurry." Before I could respond, a loud crash erupted from the living room. The shadows were moving again. "We don't have time." I nodded, fear propelling me forward as we descended the basement stairs. I could hear the whispers more clearly now, weaving in and out like a haunting melody. With a burst of adrenaline, I pushed myself deeper into the darkness, knowing only one thing: I had to find out what lurked below. And then I heard a voice, soft yet commanding, echoing through the hollow space. "You were chosen." And just like that, everything changed. The basement was darker than I expected. The air felt stale, heavy with a sense of foreboding. I followed the woman closely, my heart racing as I listened to the whispers echo around us. I caught snippets of words, but they were incomprehensible. Chosen, danger, power. What's down here? I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. "There are things you need to see," she replied, her urgency palpable. "It's all connected." We reached a small room at the end of the hallway. A single light bulb flickered ominously above, casting shadows that danced on the walls. I stepped inside, my eyes adjusting slowly. On the walls, strange symbols were etched deep into the concrete. They looked ancient and unsettling. I could almost feel the energy vibrating through the air. "What do these mean?" I murmured, tracing my fingers over one of the symbols. "They're protective," she said, glancing back toward the stairs. "But they can only shield you if you know how to use them." I sensed fear creeping back in. "Use them for what?" Before she could answer, the whispers intensified, a low hum that seemed to pierce through my thoughts. Suddenly, a door at the other end of the room swung open, revealing a brightly lit hallway. It felt too inviting, like a trap. "Don't go there," she commanded, stepping in front of me. "You'll lose yourself." Confusion washed over me. "What do you mean?" The people looking for you, they want to take you through that door. It's what they want. In that moment, I felt a pull toward the doorway, a connection that made me weak in the knees. My hand moved instinctively, my body inching closer. "What's in there?" I demanded, wrestling with the urge to step forward. "It's where they gather," she replied, her eyes widening. "Where they make plans. You can't trust them." That's when I saw it, a shadow slipping around the corner, the same figures from before. My blood ran cold. I backed away from the door and into the room, feeling panic seep into my veins. But there was nowhere to hide. The woman's grip tightened on my arm. "We need to disappear. Now." The echoes of footsteps grew louder, reverberating off the walls, closing in on us like a noose. It was too late. The figures were here. Suddenly, the symbols on the walls began to glow. The air sizzled with energy. "What's happening?" I gasped. "They're responding to you. You need to focus on the light, let it guide you," she shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. I did as she said, forcing my fear aside. I concentrated on the glowing symbols, feeling a rush of warmth. The door's light flickered, fighting the darkness wrapping around us. And then I heard it, a voice, powerful and clear. "You are one of us." With that, the world around me spun. Everything faded, the shadows, the whispers, the impending danger. Just as quickly, I felt myself being pulled in every direction, my mind racing to understand. When the darkness finally lifted, I found myself standing in a vast expanse, surrounded by similar symbols, but they were alive now, swirling above me like constellations. I blinked, and that's when I realized I wasn't alone after all. The glow of the symbols faded to a soft shimmer around me, but I still felt their presence. I glanced to my left and saw several figures floating in the space with me. They looked like the woman from the basement, but different, stronger, more confident. "Welcome," one of them said, a man with striking blue eyes. "You finally arrived." "Where am I?" I managed to mumble, still trying to wrap my head around everything. "You are in a sanctuary," he explained. "A space between the worlds. You're safe here." "Safe?" I echoed, uncertainty creeping back in. "But what if they find me?" The woman from the basement stepped forward. "They can't reach you in this place. Not unless you allow them. Remember that." "So, what happens now?" I asked, feeling anxious. The weight of everything hung heavy on my chest. "We need to guide you," the man said. "You have abilities that you don't know about. They want to use you for their own purposes." His tone was serious, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. "Use me for what?" "For your connection," he replied. "To the energy that binds everything together. They seek power, and you are a conduit." "A conduit?" My mind raced with confusion and fear. I thought about the whispers, the words I had barely understood. "The chosen, yes," the woman said gently. "They believe you are the key to their plans. That's why they're searching for you." I took a step back, my heart pounding. "But I don't want any part of this. I just want to go home." "In time, you will see your potential," the man replied. "But for now, we need to prepare you." He gestured to the symbols above, and they began to shift and swirl, forming intricate patterns. It was mesmerizing. "You need to learn how to harness this energy. You have to protect yourself." I watched them move, and something inside me stirred. Could I really do this? Then I heard it again, the whispers. They had returned, rising from the depths of the sanctuary, and this time they felt threatening. "They're here," I breathed, panic flooding my senses. "Focus on the symbols," the woman urged. "They're your only defense." But the whispers grew louder, twisting in my mind, filling it with images of darkness. I could feel the figures closing in. The sanctuary felt less safe, more of a fragile illusion. "Please," I shouted, but my voice was swallowed by the chaos. "I don't know how to protect myself." Just then, the man stepped forward, and his hands glowed with a soft blue light. You must trust yourself. Feel the energy within you. I hesitated, fear battling with the fleeting hope I felt. Then, as the shadows threatened to engulf me, I took a deep breath and reached inside, searching for something I didn't even know existed. That's when I felt it, a flicker of warmth, a spark of power. It surged through me like fire. I opened my eyes and willed it outwards. The shadows froze. In that moment of clarity, I realized I had just begun to understand my destiny. But as I pushed against the darkness, a voice sliced through the air. You think this is over? I whirled around, my heart racing. Someone was coming through the breach, and this time, I understood, the real battle was just beginning. I felt the air shift as the figure stepped through the breach. It was a man, tall with a menacing aura, dressed in dark clothing that seemed to absorb the light around him. His eyes glinted with a predatory sheen. I instinctively took a step back, instinct screaming at me to run. Who are you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but it trembled. He grinned, revealing elongated teeth. Oh, I'm just a friend of the family. But that's not important right now. His voice dripped with condescension. What matters is that you're in quite the predicament. The figures around me shifted restlessly at his approach, their confidence visibly shaken. Stay back. The woman shouted, moving to shield me. It was then I could see her worry mask her earlier strength. Don't bother, darling, the man taunted. You can't protect her here. She is just a little girl who thinks she is special. The words cut through the chaos in my mind. I'm not a little girl. I shot back defiantly, gathering the spark of energy I had felt before. It pulsed within me, reminding me of the power I had grabbed hold of moments ago. Ah, but you don't understand, he replied, stepping forward with a casual swagger. Power doesn't come from a flicker. It comes from experience. His confidence was crushing. I clenched my fists tighter, feeling the warmth bristle beneath my skin. What do you want from me? I demanded. To bring you home, he replied smoothly. And home is where true strength awaits you, my dear. Before I could think of a response, another voice echoed through the sanctuary. The blue-eyed man stepped up again, his energy crackling with intensity. You will not take her. The hall split with sudden energy as he confronted the intruder. I could feel the tension snap, and the air thickened with the weight of the standoff. But then I remembered the whispers, the pain they brought, the images of darkness they filled my mind with. Leave me alone. I shouted, pushing outward with the energy flaring within me. The shadows swirled, stretching towards the man slowly. He recoiled, eyes widening. This will only end in tragedy, he warned, backing away for a moment. But I could see now. His fear gave me strength. I stepped forward, channeling whatever I could muster, feeling the symbols above pulse to life again. This ends here. I screamed. I reached out with my hands, feeling the energy expand outward like a shield. The sanctuary brightened, illuminating the space as the dark figure faltered. But then the room trembled. A crack fissured into the air just behind the man, an ominous break. It sent shockwaves through my body. What is happening? I shouted, panic rippling through me again. The man laughed coldly, seeming to thrive off my distress. You have no idea what you're meddling with. Suddenly, the ground beneath us began to crack. The symbols flickered and dimmed. A sense of urgency filled me. We need to get out of here. Just before the darkness swallowed the sanctuary whole, I heard one last whisper from the shadows, your choice is not yet made. And with that, everything went dark. I gasped for air, but all I felt was darkness pressing in around me. My instincts kicked in, and I turned in circles, searching for a way out. The feeling of weightlessness enveloped me, and I struggled to make sense of my surroundings. Then, a faint light shimmered ahead. I squinted, pushing through the thick darkness. Hello? I called out, my voice echoing strangely. Is anyone there? The light flickered, revealing a figure emerging from the depths. It was the blue-eyed man, but something was different. A glowing aura surrounded him, illuminating the shadows. He looked pale and frantic. There you are. I thought I lost you, he said, reaching for me. Where are we? I asked, my heart racing. Somewhere between realms, he replied, glancing back at the dark void threatening to consume us. We have to move. He won't stay away for long. I felt the ground tremble beneath us, and fear clawed at my insides. Who is he? I pressed, needing to understand what was happening. The one who came after you. He is looking for you, and he won't tolerate any obstacles. His eyes flickered with urgency. You need to trust me. Trust him? What did I know about this man? He had fought for me, but did we even stand a chance? Questions raced through my mind, but before I could voice them, the darkness began to coalesce around us. Run! He shouted, the brightness of his aura growing stronger. I felt the surge of energy pulling at my core again, igniting a spark inside me. Without thinking, I grabbed his hand and we sprinted through the haze. As we ran, the light created a path, and I struggled to keep pace. What is your name? I asked, focusing on staying close. Call me Jonas. His voice bounced off the walls of shadow. Jonas, I don't know what is happening. Why does he want me? Because you are special, he said, glancing back. Sweat glistened on his forehead. You have power that he wants. What kind of power? I felt a rush of indignation mixed with dread. Was I just some pawn? Enough to change everything, he replied, urgency deepening his tone. But you must learn to control it. I was about to ask how when the ground quaked violently. From the edges of the darkness, a tendril shot out, grasping at our feet. Jonas yanked me forward just in time. Go left. He shouted, and we turned sharply. I could feel the heat of the darkness chasing us, like a predator ready to strike, and that's when I saw it, a shimmering portal, swirling with colors I had never seen before. Hope surged in my chest. There! I shouted, pointing toward the escape. Almost there! Jonas urged, his energy flickering in the dimness behind us. But as we dashed toward the portal, the dark figure appeared beside us, his eyes blazing with malevolent light. You can't escape me, he sneered, voice dripping with menace. Fear knotted my resolve, and I felt a flicker of energy deep inside me, battling the darkness. We won't let you take me. I shouted, summoning what I could. As I unleashed the energy, the air shimmered, and the world around us trembled. The dark figure paused, irritation flashing in his eyes. Something shifted within me as the portal drew closer. This was my moment. I wasn't the scared girl anymore. Now! Jonas shouted, pulling me forward, and I lunged toward the swirling light, heart hammering as the dark figure howled behind us. Before I knew it, we leapt through the portal, leaving the chaos behind, and everything faded into blinding brightness. Then everything went silent. I opened my eyes slowly, adjusting to the bright light. I blinked, taking in my surroundings. We were in a small clearing filled with vibrant flowers and towering trees. The air felt fresh and clean, a sharp contrast to the darkness we had just escaped. Is this home? I asked, glancing at Jonas. The relief of being out of the void didn't last long. I could still feel the lingering weight of dread in my gut. No, he said, his voice tight. This is another realm. A safe spot for now. The tension in his gaze sent a chill through me. How long can we stay here? I don't know, Jonas admitted. But we have to find a way to strengthen your power. Strengthen my power? I echoed, panic rising again. I don't even know what that means. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. You have more potential than you realize. But to use it, you need training. It won't happen overnight. Are you saying I can fight him? The disbelief was thick in my voice. You can protect yourself. That's what matters right now, he answered, his tone steady. But first, we need to hide. Before I could ask more, he motioned for me to follow him into the trees. My legs felt heavy as we walked, still adjusting to this place where the air crackled with energy. What about the dark figure? I whispered, the memory of his glowing eyes sending a shiver down my spine. He'll find us if we're not careful, Jonas warned. He has ways of sensing your presence. We need to mask it. What do we do? I said, anxiety bubbling to the surface. Jonas bent down, picking up a small flower with vibrant blue petals. This, he said, holding it up. It can act as a cloak. We'll need to crush it and create a potion. It'll help hide your energy. I frowned at the flower. And where do we get the rest of what we need? There's a stream nearby. It has purification water. We can use it to blend with the essence of this flower. He gestured toward a group of thick trees. Follow me. As we walked, I scanned the area, noticing flashes of movements among the trees. Shadows lurked, making me uneasy. Jonas, I said, my voice low, do you see that? He paused, peering into the dark spaces among the trunks. Just stay close. My heart raced as we continued forward. I could feel an unseen presence stalking us, and it made my skin crawl. Suddenly, a rustle erupted from the bushes, and a figure emerged, tall and obscured by shadows. Who goes there? Came a low, gravelly voice. Jonas stepped in front of me protectively, his aura flaring bright. Stay back. I could barely see the figure through the foliage, but I felt the air shift. This was not a friendly encounter. Jonas! I cried, fear gripping my chest. Stay behind me! He shouted, and I could feel the tension building, the air thickening with anticipation. The figure took a step closer, revealing sharp features and glowing eyes. You're in the wrong place, it said, voice dripping with menace. You belong to him now. A shiver ran down my spine. I felt trapped, caught between Jonas's protective stance and the looming threat ahead. The sense of urgency hit me, this was only the beginning. I had to act quickly. That's when I noticed something glinting in the darkness next to the figure. It looked like a weapon, and I realized I needed to help Jonas. My heart pounded. I slipped quietly behind Jonas, tension thrumming in my chest. The dark figure stood tall and imposing, a chiseled outline against the vibrancy of the clearing. You can't protect her from what is destined, it said, its voice a rasp that sent chills down my spine. Get away from us! Jonas shouted, stepping firmly between me and the figure, his aura pulsing and brightening in defiance. But the darkness surrounding the figure seemed to absorb the energy, mocking our efforts. You're still naive, boy, it sneered, reaching for something from behind its back. That's when instinct took over. No! I shouted, pushing past Jonas, my newly found spark within me blazing like wildfire. I felt the symbols from the sanctuary shifting in my mind, urging me forward. I didn't fully understand the power I had, but I wasn't going to let Jonas face this threat alone. In a moment of clarity, I thrust my hands forward, summoning whatever energy I could grasp. A wave of light burst forth, illuminating the shadows in the clearing. The dark figure recoiled, surprise flickering across its twisted features. What is this? Just leave us alone. I shouted again, the echo of my voice blending with the shimmering light. As I pushed forward, I sensed the darkness swirling around me, grappling for control. But I stood firm, my heart thumping loudly against my ribcage. Jonas supported my energy with his own, and together we created a barrier that pushed against the shadowy figure. I could feel the warmth of the light following my command, a resonance that felt intoxicating. We need to go. Jonas yelled, but I didn't want to flee. I was tired of running. The shadowy figure laughed, a cold, hollow sound that sent tremors through the air. You think you can resist? I know we can. I shouted back, bolstered by a strange confidence. Then, without warning, I felt a sharp pain shooting through me, the darkness clawing, trying to pull me back. I grunted, struggling to maintain my focus. Just then, the clearing trembled as the ground beneath us shifted, breaking apart into cracks that glowed with a sinister light. It's not over. The figure spat, before it lunged again. In that moment of desperation, I felt a surge within me, an energy stronger than fear, a determination that sparked like a flame in the night. I turned to Jonas, desperation in my eyes. Help me channel it. He nodded, his own energy swirling into mine, the connection between us snapping into place. Together, we concentrated, focusing everything we had toward the figure, letting the light burst into a brilliant explosion. In that second, we sent a wave cascading toward the dark figure, and I felt an overwhelming force of heat and radiance push against the shadows. "No!" it shrieked, voice cracking, as the light enveloped it. I could barely see, but the sensation of weight lifting from my shoulders filled me with strength. A blinding flash erupted, and then silence. The darkness vanished, leaving only the sound of rustling leaves in its wake. I blinked, disoriented, as the sunlight warmed my face. Was it really over? Jonas stood beside me, breathing heavily, but not before I caught the fleeting look of victory flicker in his eyes. "We did it," I whispered, still in shock. I felt the pulse of my own energy settle into a gentle hum, the remnants of the battle swirling in my veins. "Not completely," he said, glancing warily into the dark woods that wrapped around us. "This was just a skirmish." His words washed over me like cold water, and unease began to creep in again. "What do you mean?" "Safe or not, he will come back," Jonas said, the weight of his words settling heavily. "You need to be ready." I looked around, taking in the tranquil landscape, the vibrant colors of flowers, the burst of freedom we'd experienced. But beneath the beauty, I could feel the shadows lingering, as if they were waiting for a chance to strike. Questions swarmed in my mind. What would I need to do to prepare? How could I truly harness the power that had saved us today? And would this ever end? The journey had just begun, and a thick fog of uncertainty hung in the air. Thinking of the old man next door, the whispers in the walls, and the dark figure that had loomed over us, I knew that my life would never be the same. I didn't have all the answers, but as I glanced at Jonas, I felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. Together, we could face whatever darkness awaited us. We would find a way. As we began to step deeper into the woods, ready to uncover the unknown, I couldn't shake the feeling that the true battle was just beginning. I still think about that day often, about how everything changed in a moment. Even so, the question of what lay ahead lingers in the back of my mind, a mystery shrouded in whispers that might never truly be resolved.